What is mindset? Our mindset is based on what we believe, and anything we believe in, we put into motion. I have spent my life putting the mindset of perseverance into motion, and now I am here today to share my journey along with others whose mindsets have changed the course of their lives. Hi, I'm mindset coach Lorraine Lindsey, and I believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. So are you ready? What's up, and welcome to another episode of The Mindsetters, where we believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. I am going to do a really quick introduction to these wonderful ladies that are on the show today. Today, we're going to switch it up a little bit. It's a little bit of girls talk, tapping in, being the fly on the wall. We had some men ask some questions of us ladies, and we are here today to answer those questions. So before we get into the show, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. If you like the material and the content that you are listening to, subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and most importantly, give us your comments. We'd like to hear from you. And today, you'll see we are responding to questions that are being asked. So ask the questions. We want to address whatever you guys want to listen to out there. I am your host, Coach Lorraine Lindsey. I am a certified peak performance coach and mindset coach. I've been coaching since 2014, and today, I'm not a coach. I'm just a woman answering questions to these fabulous men that are out there. You know, I did this show mostly because we do a lot of talks on women's perspective, but we love men and we support men. There's a lot of great men out there. So we want to let the men and the fellows know that we are listening. Let me introduce our amazing guest. We have a first timer here who happens to be a very good friend of mine. I've known her. Gosh, Paula, I think I've known you for what, 15 years maybe?
At least 15
At least 15 years. So this is Miss Paula Burrier-Rhine, new Mrs. Rhine.
Thank you.
She is an executive casino host at the D, Circa, and Golden Gate. She is recently married to Dr. Colin Rhine, who was an orthopedic veterinarian in Illinois. She was born in Pasadena and moved to Las Vegas in 1999.
Oh, thank you for having me on the
She listened to
show.
Prince, right? He's like, we're going to party like it's 1999. She's like, well, hell, I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah.
So thank you, Paula. I'm so
Thank you
happy
for
to
having me on the
finally
show.
have you. We've been talking about this for a while.
We have.
Right. So you're here, and she's going to give us some fabulous nuggets.
Thank
and
you.
of course, we have my continued guest, the wonderful lipstick ladies. Let's start with Miss Charlene Ruiz. You can find her at charleneruiz.cmps. She is a mortgage lender here in the Las Vegas Valley. She's been doing mortgages for 20 years. So if you're looking to purchase a home, please get in contact with Charlene. She's also a fitness coach and a mentor. She has her own fitness company, Your Time to Be Fit Coaching. And she's also the current president of NAREP, which is a great organization for Hispanic real estate professionals. So thank you again.
Yay.
I'm zipping through this because we have some good stuff.
Yes.
And then, of course, my co-host, my fabulous Carmen Smith.
Woo!
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, I get an ovation.
Yeah. Carmen Smith is a local realtor, one thing amongst many. She is also starting a nonprofit organization and a skincare line that's all organic. So, Miss Carmen, thank you for your presence. We're happy to have you here. All right. Boom. We're going to get right to it because we have a little bit of time to talk about a lot of stuff. So, basically, this is what happened. Carmen came up actually with this wonderful idea. She said, you know what, Lorraine, why don't we put a post out there and ask the men, what are some questions that you would love to ask women where we can answer those questions candidly? And we got a really great response, literally within a day. A lot of people responded on the post, and then I got a lot of private messages. I think you did as well. And so we took as many of those questions as we could because we've only got 45 minutes to really talk about it. But hopefully we'll do it justice and get as many questions answered. So I'm going to get right into the question. All right, question number one. Ladies, are we ready for this?
Yes.
We are ready.
All right, question number one. Women are so intelligent. So why do a lot of women choose the men that's clearly the wrong choice? And they knew that from the start. Who wants to
Potential.
go?
But do we really know that from the start?
Yeah. Well, you think you got you see some potential, but it ain't never gonna be what you think it's gonna be. So I think we just hold on to the potential of what it could be, or the idea we've created.
I also think that I think we're intelligent about a lot of things.
I was just going to say
It's
that.
like when there's matters of the mind, we're very intuitive and we're very like focused on that. But when it comes to matters of the heart, depending on where we are in our lives, it gets a little cloudy for us. And so I think that, you know, the outsider will look in and say, what the heck does she see in this dude? Like this guy's a this or a that or whatever. But so what Carmen's saying is that sometimes we overthink our, like you talk about the potential. I think sometimes we think because we're so intelligent that we can somehow use psychoanalysis or whatever and fix somebody that we just can't fix.
Because we understand and we can fix it, right?
Yeah.
Or they give you that one thing you're lacking.
Exactly.
Like that one
need.
Right.
Yeah, that need
Right.
that
That
you
need.
have. And you're like clinging to that because that's something that you have desired for a while.
That's a
Which-
big one.
That's a huge, which to your point, you know, you can have intelligence in your career and your household, but when it comes to that love portion of it, the intelligence kind of, your picker becomes off.
I love that. The
Yeah,
picker
the
becomes
picker. It does.
What do you think,
It's like-
Paula?
Well, for me, it's the opposite because I've always felt my insecurity has always been I've never had any schooling, so I've always felt like I wasn't intelligent enough. So my husband, I meet this man who's the orthopedic surgeon, and I'm like, wow, he's so intelligent, and it's something that I didn't have. So I grasped onto that, and no matter what, I'm willing to work it out. Oh, he's super smart. He's super intelligent. I love this about him. And it makes it, for me, that's what I'm grasping
Yeah,
to.
that's interesting. That's actually a good point.
So what we lack is what we are attracted to.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
yeah,
That makes sense.
100%.
Exactly.
And also, I think like when this guy asks, women are so intelligent, so why do a lot of women choose men that are clearly the wrong choice?
Feelings.
I don't think it's as clear to us as when you're in it, when you're actually immersed in it and you're emotionally attached to a thing, you just don't see as clearly. Everyone else on the outside can see it because they're not emotionally attached to it. But no matter how intelligent
Right.
you are, you can really get dumb when it comes to love.
Well, is it similar to when when we say a man thinks with their penis, how we think with our hearts? Like if our hearts are in it, it's like you don't think with your brain.
Right.
You're just going by your feeling.
And
Right.
it's also,
Does that make
it's a
sense?
need that we desire that they can provide for us. But I also think, what does the right choice really mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because I think everybody's got something, whether good or bad, is what
Right.
are we willing to tolerate in each other and why?
Yeah. It's an interesting question because I think not just men observe that, but I think sometimes we as friends and friendships, and when we're watching our girlfriends go through things, or someone's watching me go through things, and they're like, God, Lorraine, you're so this, and that. All these pausing. Why are you putting up with that? Like, why are you choosing that? Like, why? And the thing is, us women, and sort of for the men know, it's like we do such a great job of venting and complaining about men that are in our lives, but we're never really sharing what really is attaching us to them and those
Right.
deep,
Yeah.
intimate moments. Because when we're
Yeah.
troubled, we want to reach to our girlfriends and vent and talk about it. And so what happens is when we make up and everything's good, our friends, because they love us, hold the man hostage to
Yes.
whatever the hell we
Yes.
said
That is so
was
true.
bad.
And then you're
And-
like, but no, he's really nice.
And then we try to like,
Yeah,
cover up.
exactly.
No.
But he made me breakfast yesterday, and it was
No,
wonderful.
you don't understand. Like he's sweet to me, you know.
Yeah.
Like no, he's this person, you know. And I think
Right.
even with our guy
Yeah, we
friends,
do
I
that.
have some really close friends in my life that are men, and I turn to them sometimes that they're trusted men that I know there's no agenda, but I've turned to them when I've had relationship woes and wanted to get their perspective. And you know they love me. They're Team Lorraine, and so then all of a sudden I'm doing well with my partner. They're like, "What the hell's wrong with you? This guy's this and this and that." So I think this is kind of where that question's coming from. So let's go to question number 2. Okay, so we focus so much on men being narcissistic, and we forget that women are narcissistic too and damage a lot of good men.
Ooh, Quan
Yeah.
We
got
got
me
Quan.
too.
Yeah, Quan actually said, whoa, okay.
You
Yeah.
guys
That's the
see,
first
for those
time.
who's watching, you guys can't see Quan, but Quan is he owns the studio here, and so he responded to that question. Okay, so what do we think about this? It's kind of true.
It is very true. Very true.
And narcissism, like this whole narcissism, is such
Yes.
a buzzword.
It
Everybody
totally,
wants
I was
to talk
just gonna
about
say that too. Yeah, it's like
are you a
define, yeah.
narcissist? Yeah, and there's such a spectrum to it, right? I think everybody has a little narcissism in them. I think that's innate from human beings because we could be a little self-absorbed in different things. Some of it's because of insecurities, and some of it just is because we are. But when we go to the higher scale, it is very true. We very much focus on that narcissistic, arrogant, bullheaded man, but yeah, you have some women who will trample all over a man. He just
Never.
adores her
Yeah.
and loves her and is just crazy about her, and she is just like entitled and feels like you owe me the world and
Whoever
is
wants
not
their needs
accountable.
first. Yep. What needs do I
I've
need
been
now?
a narcissistic woman in some relationships before, if I'm
Oh,
being
I
honest.
have too. I was doing it last night with my husband.
Oh.
My husband, we're on the phone and he says something and I said, "Oh, aren't you so happy you're married to a fabulous woman?" And he's
I
like,
think we should say that all the time.
Well, that's-
yeah. He
that's
goes, "I'm so
obvious.
fabulous and beautiful and amazing."
But
and,
it's
you know,
obvious. It's a fact, honey.
Thank
It's
you.
not.
Thank you. And he's like, "Wow, pat yourself on the back." Yes,
Yes.
I'm going to. So, you know,
I don't know if
Anita
that's
does-
narcissism.
No,
No,
that's
I think
a
that's
fact.
no.
No?
You're just no. You're
2 plus
you're
2 is
owning
4.
your stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, duh. Oh.
But I will say this, when it comes to, because one of the things that says that they damage a lot of good men.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually say this. I actually believe that men have a tendency to love a little bit harder than women. If I'm being if I'm being honest. And the reason why I say that is because when a man gets really emotionally involved with a woman, a man can just sleep with women. Okay. They can just close their eyes and sleep with a woman. There's no anything more than just it being physical. But when they actually attach emotion to the physicality, they get really invested emotionally. And I feel like whenever I've met men whose hearts have been crushed by a woman who mistreated them, cheated on them or whatever it may be, they become so closed off to all women. It's like every woman, I'm never going to let anyone get that close to me. I'm just going to sleep around or do whatever I'm going to do or completely close myself off. Men
Every
have
other
a harder
woman
time.
has to pay for that. What
Right.
that woman did to them.
And one of the guys that commented about, men are taught in our society to kind of withdraw and to hold on to their emotions and not share. So I also think that when men go through great heartache, they do it by themselves. They don't really express because it looks as though they're weak. And so they don't have that platform. Whereas women, when we fall in love and our heart's broken, unless it's happened multiple times where we become jaded, which is a whole nother topic, I feel like when our heart is broken, we're always looking for the next guy to rescue us. So we're not
That's
as
right.
devoted to the love of that person like the men are. What do you ladies think?
Well, I have one too, where say you're not in a relationship with somebody and they really like you and you don't really like them. And I'm an honest person. Like,
She
you're
gets
not,
that quite a bit.
we are not in a relationship. I don't want a relationship. And when it doesn't go their way, I believe they feel like that's narcissistic. I've never been called a narcissist.
It's the
But-
rejection button that
Yeah,
gets
and it's
turned
kind of
on.
like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm usually the one to be like, I don't want you, But then on the flip side, it'd be like where I'm all invested on somebody and they're not as invested. So I think it just goes both ways. I guess we all can be a little
Everybody has
narcissistic.
Right.
expectations.
If that's
yeah.
what you want to call a narcissist. I think the term is
To
used
me, a
too
narcissist
loosely.
is
I think so, too.
manipulative. I
Yeah.
think they're manipulative to get their way because they have a need that needs to be met and nobody else's needs matter at that time.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of women, especially now, that show up like men do, cold,
Yeah.
closed off, and they just are in it for themselves. Those are the narcissistic women, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Then there's people that are just true. Like, listen, this is my heart. I want to love. I'm looking for love. You got it. Let's do it. If
Yeah.
not, then you learn from that. But to your point, I feel that narcissistic behavior is tied to manipulation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
a lack of accountability.
Yes.
A narcissist will never be accountable. They will always say it's somebody else, not them. All right, so next question. Women want a confident man, but when we display the same confidence during a disagreement, women say we are arrogant. The question is this: are we only to be confident under women's terms? If so, would that be considered training a man?
That's funny. My husband's words lately have been, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's a great husband.
I'm like, you're learning. Yes, finally. So to that point,
Happy
it just really
wife, happy
depends.
life,
Yeah.
right?
That's
That's what they
true.
say.
But for a long time,
You're
we're
like,
both
finally
very,
you're trained.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what did it take? But I think it's a season too. Like, where are you in your relationship? Is it safe
Yes.
to have that type of misunderstanding and talk through it and hear each other out? Oftentimes we're not there, and that becomes a deeper issue where it's control and who's powering the other, and you're a woman, I'm the man, or whatever that belief is. So
What do you think about that, Paula?
Right.
Are women, are we only to be confident under women's terms is the question from this man.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely not. I mean, confidence comes both ways. I mean, my husband is very confident, but insecure at the same time. So I have to look at both ways. And it's definitely because it's a little difficult because I'm learning about him over the last 3 months. I've only known him 3 months, and I'm married.
I love it.
So
Mm.
I
I
married
love
him
it.
after 3 weeks. Yes.
Okay, so out there, people who are
I love
watching.
it. I love it.
Paula just recently got married, and she met her husband in March. You said, right?
I met him in March.
She met him in
yes,
March, and
in
it is now
Tahoe.
August.
So I met him
Is
in
it
March.
August? Yes, August.
I got engaged in April and married him in May.
So we're talking about some spontaneous love here.
And this is a man who's 44, who has never been married, who has never lived with a woman, who's had relationships, but he focused on his career. That's what he was focused
So
on.
this is going to be great because that's a question that's a man asked about our judgment on men who have never been married past 40 and don't have children.
right.
So it'll be good.
has no
I want
children.
you to.
And
He has one. He does have a
he
child.
does.
He
yeah.
does. He has a 9-year-old. So, and then for me, my son is 23. So I'm stepping into a whole new life.
So you're older than him.
I'm 10 years older.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Girl, after
We can't
10 years
tell,
old.
girl.
You're welcome.
Look at
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
You guys are bonding. Okay, but the question is though, and I think this is fair because I feel like we do trust men and love when a man is very confident, and we look at that as a way of strength. That's how us women view it. But we don't want them to necessarily exude that on us when there's a disagreement. Because listen, at the end of the day, a lot of us women, self included, I feel like when there's a disagreement, most of the time I'm right.
You want
I
to be
just
right?
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
little
I feel
giggle.
like I have a better grip and a better understanding. That sounds very arrogant of me. But yes, when there's a
Where's the
disagreement,
wind fan?
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to
Yeah.
get the
Wait,
fan for Lorraine.
cue camera. When I talk, it's all about me. That's my Beyonce. It's my diva.
Yeah,
But listen, it's the truth though. It's like I love to see my man, confident and showing strength when he's present amongst
Right.
other people. But if we don't have an agreement, I need him to find his humble servant
Simmer
within
down.
him and to just listen to me, because I do like to be right. I'm going to be straight up about that. But I also really believe most of the time I am.
There's a saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And it's usually in long-term
Oh
relationships.
man, I
yeah.
think if I'm
Right.
right, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So where do you find
Well,
the
that's for him.
balance?
Even-
I
But are you
think-
really right? That's the question.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
you have
most
to
of the
humble
time I
yourself. a
am.
little.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think usually
I'm a narcissist.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think she might be one of those.
I think usually both people always have a valid point.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm always right and he's always right, and we have to find the
balance.
balance
Yes.
in that. So if a man can be confident in his stance on what he believes in, but he's also confident enough to take into consideration what I have to
that
say,
part.
that's the most,
Hmm.
because I'm not going to respect you if you're not going to listen to me.
Right.
you
Because
know?
there's no power in that. There's just a matter of discussion. And we can understand each other where we're at doesn't mean we necessarily agree on that. That's
Well,
good.
And I also think you have to learn about your man. So with my man, I have to constantly, when I'm approaching him, I have to say this is coming from a place of love.
Right.
And when I say
Just
that,
predisclose, yeah.
yes, when I say that and I back up for a second, this is coming from a place of love. He looks at me and he understands me.
And
This
I think
is not
that,
coming from arrogance,
yeah,
narcissistic. It's not coming from any other place but love.
I think that's been a challenge of mine, if I'm being very transparent, is being seen as an ally and an asset as opposed to always being someone that my person sees me as an opposition.
Mhm.
And it's and when it comes to these arguments and things like that, it's like I see your strength. I know you're strong. I know you're confident. So with me questioning or having a difference of opinion or having an opinion or maybe wanting to protect you, it doesn't mean that I am questioning your confidence and your
Yeah.
strength.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's very frustrating sometimes to really directly address that person's question is that sometimes the men are seeing it like we're battling them and we're emasculating them, and it's like, no, that's you're deflecting, you're putting that on me, and it's not. I'm your ally, I'm your asset, I'm your confidant. So just because I'm questioning you, or just because I don't agree with you, or just because sometimes you have to humble yourself, it's not me telling you you're not a strong, confident man. It's just saying I have a voice too, and my opinion matters.
Mhm.
And
Right.
he's thinking, well, she should just trust my decisions.
Right.
I'm the man, why is she questioning me? Why is she
But I
this?
don't think you just being the man is a rite of passage.
Exactly.
I'm a woman and I have
Yes.
an opinion too.
Exactly.
And by the way, I care. So
Mhm.
I'm not doing this to get, to cause problems. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, and then when it's convenient for them to take our advice or do, like, baby, what do you think? But then when I want to tell you what I think, you don't want to receive it from me.
Right.
Right.
So
Which
it's
was
only-
what makes us beautiful, different people. That's why we love what we love.
Yeah.
You know?
I've heard so
Yeah.
many men say, I can't read your mind.
Yeah.
So when I tell you,
But I'm
and
telling you.
I'm telling you,
So you don't
Don't
have to
take
read my
offense
mind.
to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so funny.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. All right. So the next question. Why do women ask, it's kind of segues into it. Why do women ask things of men that they are not willing to do or give?
Hmm.
Well, listen, I love when men like to argue men are different than women. We're just not the same. Well, this is the answer to the question because it goes both ways. This is a personal pet peeve of mine. All right. I hate, and I know hate is a strong word, so I'm using it with intention because I truly hate tit for tat.
Mm.
I hate to be in a situation where someone's comparing what I've done to what they've done. We are unique individuals, and what bothers you may not bother me, and vice versa. So it's not about doing things to say, well, you did it, so I'm going to do it like we're children. It's a matter of saying, okay, she has expressed that this is something she doesn't like, but this is not really that big of a deal to me. It doesn't matter that it's not a big deal to you. It's a big deal to me, and vice versa. And I think when we come to a level of respect and we're trying to understand one another, it's about finding the balance in that. It is every relationship and everything between the two people
Right.
that are that causes some contention does not necessarily mean it's going to be an equilibrium there. We came from different backgrounds, we have different experiences, we have different perspectives, and so there are things that will bother me that may not bother you, and vice versa. And so it's a matter of really listening and respecting that, and instead of doing the whole. Well, so when the question is, why do women ask things of men that they're not willing to give? It's just sometimes the circumstances are different, I think.
And what is an example of what they're really trying to say? I think that can go all over.
So how about an example like I remember I was dating somebody and it was like, you don't talk to any of your exes, right? And I'm like, I got like this many, right? So, but it was okay for him to talk to his exes. So if you have the expectation of me not to talk to your exes, why do you get to talk to your exes? I think that's kind of what it is.
Boundaries.
Like, yeah, like if you want me to come home at 11 o'clock, then you need to come home at 11 o'clock. You don't get to come home at 2 a.m.
So at
But
what
you want me to
point
come
do
home at
you
11.
communicate that with your partner to know that, and how
Yeah.
far, to your point, Lorraine, how much of that do you deal with before you realize it's too much, right? Because we can spend our whole relationship trying to figure each other out.
Right.
But at what point do we find that place where you don't have to be like I want you to be, I don't have to be like you want me to be, but this is who I am, that's who you are, and I just love it.
I think
just
it's
like
just a
that.
matter of respect.
Yes.
It's finding a
Right.
mutual
Allow people
ground.
to be themselves
Mhm.
too. Like you
Yes.
can't change somebody from who they are to fit into your world, right? You have to allow the person to be who they are within
And accept
reason.
it,
You know,
yeah.
as
Within
long as they're
reason,
Within
respectful.
reason, understanding
and
that, yes.
Yeah. And okay, if I love this person, I'm going to deal with this person. I'm going to accept what he has or she has. Like we have to accept who they are. We can't expect them to change for us.
And sometimes it's a matter of motive for
Yeah.
some people. They get into relationships for reasons outside of that. And for that point in their life, they're whatever, whether they're young trying to find stability or they're older trying to find stability. I mean, either way, it looks the same way. So I think a lot of that matters too. In some relationships, to be honest, they don't even care about the emotions of their partner. They're like,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
peace,
But
So
they should.
they
If you're in a
should.
relationship
Should.
where
Yes.
people don't care about each other's emotions,
You
there's a
should.
problem.
Yes,
Yeah, and I think
for
all
sure.
of us at our age, if we're in a relationship, it's because we want to be in one, not because we're playing around. It's like we're either
Yeah.
going to take it
It's
to
your
the next
time.
level or we're not going to be in one.
I can
Right.
give you a great example. My husband, he lives in Illinois. We have this long distance relationship, and he's not a texter. So a couple of days in, I'm like, you haven't texted me. What's going on? Are you okay? Are you alive? Is everything okay? Yeah, I'm fine. But when I learned that that's just not who he is, he never has his phone. And I'm like, just 5 minutes, just text, good morning. How are you? Make sure you're alive.
Right.
And now he understands it. He's like, every morning he texts me because he knows I'm unhappy with that. If
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
text me, I'm unhappy.
And that's
That's
exactly
so-
it, Paula.
yeah.
It's just a matter of like, when it comes to what men are willing to do versus why. It's like, no, the thing is, it's not a man or woman thing. It's just where you come as a unity.
Right.
And when you're uniting together, it's conversation and compromise. I love you. I want to be with you. You love me. You want to be with me. We have our, likes and dislikes or whatever. And how do we find a balance without overly compromising who we are as an individual? Because I don't want to lose a sense of myself to totally fold and bend to you. Because then it could be someone feeling like I'm being controlled. But it's like, okay, these things are important to me. Here's why. And then also explain to me what it is about what I'm doing that you're not willing to do or whatever. And find out, does it feel disrespectful?
It's growth,
it feel,
yeah.
And it's just conversation. All right, so I'm going to go to the next one because I want to get these. We got some juicy ones coming up. All right. So this one says, I've seen an abundance of topics about men hurt women. Why not have a talk about how women who hurt men and think it's okay because we are men? I say that because we are taught to be strong and not show emotion. It is a point of breakdown, and we almost have to do it behind closed doors. So we kind of already been talking about this a little bit, but to kind of address specifically the thing about men not having the ability to show or not that they don't have the ability, but not feeling comfortable to really be vulnerable enough to share emotion. And we do talk, again, from a woman's perspective, it's easy for us to share when men have hurt us. But, and again, we've kind of already tapped into this about, men are hurt too, but they just don't have as many liberties to openly express it without looking like they're weak.
It shows up as anger. It shows up as disconnect. It shows up in other ways. As for us, I know for me, if I'm feeling certain, you're going to know that about me.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless I'm being intentional not to show it. And even that's hard, especially in a relationship.
Yeah.
To your point earlier, real quick, Tony Robbins talks about relationships. Who you marry matters. Who you spend your life with matters. What kind of life do you want to live? Then you have to decide, right? And that's for all of us, even in our friendships. But our partner is the most important relationship we're going to have in our life that we're choosing to have in our life. So, I mean, all of this wraps into, what do you want your life to look like? How do you want that life to be? And are you growing together? How does that rhythm go? Are they listening? And how much time are you investing in hearing me out? Or am I hearing you out? That emotional intelligence. There's a lot in that too. So knowing that part of who you are.
And it's interesting, like, for example, you two are married on that side. Carmen and I are not, but you've been with your husband since you were a teenager. She just met her husband 3 months ago. And even in those dynamically different circumstances, who we are when we're, an adult versus who we were when we were teens, and you having to navigate through your evolution as a human being and seeing and making that still adhesive for your marriage versus I'm an independent woman when I met my husband and I'm very clear on what I want. She's not looking for necessarily financial gain or having more children and things like that. She's already established in that and saying, how do we make this
partnership?
How do we make this part? And just understanding where you are in your life and what you're looking for.
And sometimes that hurts my relationship because I'm very independent.
Oh,
he says, you got this. So, I'm like, you still have to be a man.
Yeah.
You still have to open the door. You still have to put gas in my car. You still have to take me to dinner.
Right.
Even though I'm independent.
Yeah.
So that sometimes, plays a role.
Yeah. It's so funny. Carmen sent me this reel yesterday. I think I almost posted it, but I was like, I'll get in trouble.
I think men too, I'm learning this. They need to have a place to feel secure enough to be vulnerable with their feelings. We as women have to be better with allowing men to be vulnerable and be, I don't want to say weak, but to have a moment where they're not having to be so strong.
And that's when we humble ourselves.
Yes. We have to be better at that as women.
And I think we also have to get better at not being fixers.
Yeah.
I think that's a big
sometimes they don't want the answer.
It's like and we're just nurturers. We like to nurture. It's our nature to be nurturers. And so often when men, come home with a problem, they're struggling with something emotionally or whatever, we want to be a solution to every problem they have, that we just want to rescue them and nurture them. But sometimes they just don't want that. They want you to just listen. I'm going through something. Let me just handle it the way I handle it and quit nagging me to express myself to you. Leave me alone. And sometimes we just have to give our men that space.
And we'll be like, what's wrong? But I can help you. But what do you need me to do?
What about,
and they're
I'm
like, just shut the F up and let me be.
I am too.
I am notorious for always, because I'm a very solution-driven person. It's just the nature of me in every aspect. I can be that problematic like that in my friendships, with my family, but it's really can be a problem
Right.
in my relationship because I'm always wanting to
Fix
help.
it.
The intention's really, really good, but it
That
can
part,
be
yeah.
overbearing.
Mhm.
It can be overbearing.
Because you
All
know
right.
it, yeah.
Next question. Have relationship roles been diminished in this new era of relationships?
Roles.
It's so interesting because Paula and I talked this morning, right, before the show, and she had mentioned something about, there was a time where, like, she's just been married for 3 months. That was a norm. It's not like she's going against the norm right now, but at one point it was a norm. You didn't have sex, you didn't have children. You waited, you married the person, and you learned. You didn't live together. There was these rules, and you met your person, and when you felt like there was a courtship, and then you married, and that
Right.
marriage, everything came with that. So you really had to learn your person within
And
the
you
realms of the
grew
covenant
with
of
them.
marriage.
Right.
And so this new era, especially as us women, which I love, are becoming more independent. We are becoming more successful. Some of us are superseding men as far as wealth and things like that, and really trying to find that balance of masculinity and femininity within the relationship, right?
I can add a lot to that too.
Right.
I mean,
I think we can all relate to this, actually, as all of us are independent women, right? And we've all had our own independent success outside of our relationships. So has it really diminished how we see and view and even respect men?
I think so.
Absolutely.
I think so. I think there's still a lot of men that I think it's their nature to lead and to provide for the most part. And I think women have gotten it wrong and men have gotten it wrong. Men have become lax in that and it's not their nature. And we have become
More aggressive.
overachievers, over aggressive and wanting to take control and
accepting of these men not
Yeah.
doing these things,
Yeah.
like opening a car door,
Yeah.
opening a,
Yeah.
pumping your gas, or
Yeah.
taking your car on a
Oh,
Sunday
I'm
to go get
notorious.
gas, or
When I walk down the street, my guy loves to walk on the outer side
Right.
of the street. It is very important to him that he is closest to the street when we walk.
Yeah.
To the
Very
point where I
important.
feel like he's going to trip me sometimes because we'll be on the wrong, and he'll cross and I'll get so frustrated.
do you appreciate it though? I don't. If a man doesn't do that for me, I'm irritated.
And I'm the
If a man doesn't open my door, I'm irritated.
And I think, because he's very chivalrous in that point, he's very old school in that sense. Like, he'll come and open. He always makes sure the door's open. He always walks to the door to open the door for me, right? He always makes my cup of coffee in the morning unless we're fighting. But he does a lot
make
of
your own
really
coffee, damn it.
right, yeah. And like, I will. I was already gonna
Yep,
make my
it's
own
already
coffee.
started. How
I've been
about
wanting
that?
to make my own
I
coffee.
already
You
drank
just
my
won't let me. No, but he'll do these very chivalrous things, and I have to sometimes remind myself that he's being a gentleman, because sometimes I get aggravated. Like, sometimes can we just get in the car? Like, I appreciate you, and I'll tell him I appreciate it, but you don't have to go out of your way so much that I'm going to trip and crack my head on the sidewalk because you're so determined to be on the outside, or and so again, it goes back to the question they're asking, and I have to check myself with that because I am the modern woman, so to speak. I am the alpha female. I have my own business and my own career, my own money and this and that, and really trying to find the balance so he still feels like he's relevant.
I think we are independent women, alpha women, however you want to put it. But we still are nurturers to the core of who we are. You will get in that kitchen and cook for your man and serve your man.
Yeah,
and that
I do,
does not
actually.
make you
I
an
throw
alpha.
down.
Right, and you love to do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with him.
I love
he
to do
is
it
a
unless it becomes a domestic thing. Like I said, whatever you do, do not domesticate me. Like, I can't, like, I want to cook because I enjoy cooking for you. Like, I have this recipe and I want to make it, and I love to see you enjoy what I make. But the moment you expect me to come home and do that every time is the moment I stop doing it.
Well, I'm sure the moment you expect him to get on the outside of you and open your door, it becomes a chore. You know what I mean? I'm just saying,
He
like,
doesn't
the
know
same
what to
thing.
expect, yeah.
That's
So mean.
how
I'm
we're
difficult.
that's how we're built. That's how he's built. So sometimes we want to take control of that. I hate when women like that. The man don't have to open my door. I can open my own door. It's just kind of symbolic. It's not even about him opening the door. It's just
It's
that
a
he's being
gesture,
a
yeah.
man.
I don't know. I
to
love
make
to
sure-
feel like a queen.
Yes.
So when he
Yeah.
opens my door,
Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
like a
it
queen. I
makes
feel
you feel
beautiful
good.
and amazing. So
And I mean, he
it's-
doesn't have to do it every time, but like, if I go out on a date for the first time, I look for stuff like that.
Yeah, the show.
You know,
It's like
I-
manners, yeah.
Yeah, like. he
And
didn't
I
open my
feel
door.
like that's kind of, unfortunately, with us women fighting for our rights and feminism and all of this stuff, and we really are so gung-ho that I don't know which one of you said it, but we start to shrink men.
Yes.
And I think that we have to be careful with that, because we are who we are innately. I mean, we're genetically who we are, and there's certain nature. And I know there's, you know, different components with, you know, with gender identity and so on. So I'm not taking away from those people, but I can only speak from a heterosexual perspective. And so I just feel like, you know, like, while we want our power and our strength and to be acknowledged and whatever, we have to find the balance in that. And I still think there's a hierarchy in the household.
Yes.
Like, I feel like, and for me, because I grew up with a single mother, I was a single mother myself. Sometimes I struggle with the role and being, and really relinquishing this power and this need to control things. And it's not, again, like I'm trying to control it because I want to be in control. It's just that I've never had a really great demonstration of someone who could exude that strength, be in control, and not, not distrust or fall apart or leave. You know,
I think that's where getting to know each other comes in too, because then we have a better understanding of why we respond to certain things a certain way. I have been married very young, but we grew up together, and on that path, I was the lead, and then he wanted to take lead, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Huh?" So I mean, there's a lot of all of that too. So there's as long as you can grow together and find that place, whatever that foundation is, again, you go back to, everything can fall around you. But if you can get back to that place together, then it's worth that challenge.
It's not easy, but it's necessary. No. All right. So next question is, do women actually like nice guys? No. Of course we don't.
We want the rebel without a cause.
Who asked that question? Duh. Nice guys finish last. Hello. There's these cliches for a reason. No. Okay. I think it depends on your age, actually.
Yes, and your experiences, for
I think
sure.
when I was a younger woman and I was messed up myself personally, and I didn't have a grip on that or an understanding, and it was subconscious behavior, there was a lot of pathological things that I was trying to play out in my young adulthood. And daddy issues, mama issues, just all kind of issues, right? And just feeling somewhat empowered that the bad boy was interested, and somehow I was going to be that one girl who was going to save him. It was very ego driven. It was very egomaniacal. And I think a lot of women do that. I think we like the bad boy because the bad boy chose me. And I'm the one that's going to settle him down and tame him. And, you know, it becomes a little bit of a circus. You literally take a wild animal and you think you're going to tame it and hopefully domesticate it. Well, here's what I've learned, and this is real in the animal kingdom. An animal that is wild can only be tamed. It can never be domesticated. And that goes for men as well.
That is so true.
You can't change someone who doesn't feel the need for change. And I think us women like nice guys. But we think the bad boy is going to be the nice guy. Well, I think what we are attracted to when it comes to the bad guy is his grit and he doesn't kiss our ass, and he doesn't let us walk all over him, and he puts us in our place, and he's a little bit of a rebel, and there's something a little bit exciting about that in a very dysfunctional way.
So does bad guy mean mysterious guy? I mean, what does bad define truly? Because they could look different for everybody.
Yeah. That can be a whole one show.
Yeah.
But I think to narrow it down, like, we just don't want somebody who we can
A
bump
pushover.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's what it is. I think, and it's really sad because, again, age equates to some wisdom, you know, and I think that I've learned through my life, because I had the bad boys in my younger years, that I just want the nice guy now. But that's because I have a better sense of myself. And so for the men that are asking this question, a lot of women who are chasing bad guys is because they don't know who they are. So they want a guy to give them a hard time. And they don't frontal cortex want that. It's all subconscious. It's like, why doesn't he want me? Why is he giving me a hard time? So that woman that's chasing the bad boy is chasing the need to be enough. But when you get a sense of self and you feel strong and like you're enough, You don't need that. You don't got time for that. I do not want the bad boy with the chip on his shoulder and this. Go do your thing and grow up. I am a strong enough woman. I am I understand my self-worth, my self-value, and the nice guy is the perfect guy for me.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
And we're
can
okay
we?
being
Because the
alone
nice
by
guy will have a
ourselves.
conversation with
Yes.
you. The nice guy
Yes.
will not fight you on everything. The nice
Yeah.
guy will be like, all right, well, let me hear what you have to say.
Willing.
But I don't want him
Right.
to be such a nice pushover that I don't feel like he can defend me or defend for me, or if something happens, like I want a guy with a little grit.
But
Like
do you
I
think
don't
that
want
that's
him
what's
to be a pushover.
misconstrued? That we think that the
Yes.
bad guy
is weak for some
no,
reason.
the bad
yeah.
guy's going to be the one that fights for us. Because usually the bad guy is the one who
Walks
who
away.
Who walks away?
who walks
Yeah.
away and who betrays us.
Right.
Whereas the
exactly.
nice guy might be sweet and nice, and we have the misconception they're a pushover. But that's the man that when you're not around him, who will stand up every single time. And we got that wrong sometimes.
I
as
don't mean
ladies.
the bad guy like we were
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking. I mean I need a guy to have a little like oomph to him. If I
Right.
get out of
Wanna feel
line, like
safe.
you're gonna be like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, settle down.
I do
You
like
know,
to be
and
put
I'll
in my
Yeah.
place.
you
I
know.
do too.
As much as I
Yeah,
like
I
yeah.
sometimes need that.
I do
Yeah.
like it. I do like when a man.
Challenges
I'll give you a real quick example.
Not all the time though.
No,
Not a
it depends
challenge
on
all
the
the time. If I'm
situation.
wrong,
Yeah.
let me know I'm wrong.
Many moons ago, okay, I was seeing this guy, and he was a nice guy. He was the quintessential nice guy. Super, super nice, okay? And I was just coming out of my tumultuous marriage. So I just divorced, and I'm bitter, and I'm hurt, and blah, blah, blah. And here comes this nice guy. And when I tell you he was nice, he was super nice. And I was still playing out the role and the tumultuous or the craziness of my past relationship. So I remember I'm throwing a fit with this guy. I'm freaking acting up and I'm throwing a fit and I think I'm right, you know, like whatever. And I'm just going off on him. And I remember he didn't participate with me. He just kind of watched me act a
love that.
fool.
Yeah.
I was so used to my ex-husband acting a fool with me
Yeah.
that he literally just let me act a fool. And I was like, I need space. I need space. And he's like, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, nice guy. Just okay. He wasn't participating. Anyway, so I go to my house or whatever, and 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a knock on my door. And now I'm pissed because he's knocking on my door, and he shouldn't be knocking my door because I told him I need space, and he don't listen, and blah, 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 and me, Miss Drama Queen. I open the door with my attitude, hands on my hip, like, why are you here when I say I need space? And, you know, and he says, shh, and he hands me a bag. And he walks away. He goes, have a nice day. He walks away. I close the door, a gift bag or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, got my gift bag anyway. Let me see what he got me. I open up this gift bag. There were diapers,
Oh boy.
Oh, I love
pacifier, and children's toys.
He told you.
And there was a card inside the bag that said, when you're done acting like a baby, give me a call.
I like this guy.
I do
That's
too.
funny.
I love it.
And in my heart, I was like, that mother bitch. And I was like, ooh, that's sexy.
Let me call him.
Because literally,
Next
instead
question.
of like fighting and whatever, he had this way of telling me about myself. He knew how to handle me, and it
Yeah,
it didn't
love
work
it.
out. But whatever. Okay, next question.
That is hilarious.
Does a man wearing a wedding ring actually stop women from flirting?
Yes.
No,
No,
I
No.
don't think so.
Mm.
absolutely not. Women see that as a challenge.
Some women,
Some
try
women,
women,
yeah,
try
not
some
all
women.
women.
yeah,
Some women.
Just like the other way around too. I think it's subjective. I think it depends on the person too. Like, what are their intent? What are they? I mean, there's Casanovas out there. There's players.
Right.
You know, there's all that.
Yeah, I think that sometimes for some women, they see a man who's taken, like that's a good guy. He's a man of marriage. He's a man of this, and they want that, and they have this insecurity that they want to one up the woman that they're with. I want to be better than her. Whatever he sees, whatever he gives to her, I want to be better than that. And they'll play the game. They'll have the conversations with him. If he complains about his wife, she'll tell you all the things that she's better at, just to reel him in. So yes, I think for some women, women of integrity, if he has a ring on, I'm out. I'm not entertaining that.
Not at all.
For some women, they're like, well, why does she have him and I can't have him? So it just really
I
depends.
think if I'm out and a man has a wedding ring on, I even if there's a conversation, like if he has a wedding ring on, I don't want to go that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
But
All right. So we got 2 more questions. Wait. Well, we only got a couple minutes. All right. Real quick, ladies. Do women like nude pics of men?
No.
no,
No,
not
I like my man in scrubs. Just send
Yeah.
me a picture in your scrubs. I'm good.
Well, I don't know why guys think dick pics are sexy.
But it has to be shirtless or something.
Right.
I don't know.
It's just like, listen, especially unsolicited dick
yeah.
pics.
If I didn't ask you for it, don't send me that.
Like if we're like having some fun flirtation,
Yeah.
whatever. But no, I'm sorry, women. I'm totally heterosexual, but women are sexier than men.
Mhm.
There's nothing unless he's like,
yeah,
I
like
don't
you're
know.
like
It's
this.
just not-
Wait, this is what I think of. They're like I don't want to see that. Like that's so gay to me. Oh, I should. Damn it.
Yeah, just-
Damn it.
she
That's
didn't mean
just
that.
not the like. I don't want my man doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
especially from like strangers, whatever. Like I get it, like when you're with your
Yeah.
person and you're like, there's some flirtation going on. Like, you know, me and my man
Yeah.
maybe send some pictures to one another, and it's appropriate.
Right,
in that
But
moment, yeah.
In general, I'm sorry, fellas.
Yeah,
That's a no.
And
No,
then it's
that's
always like I've had
definitely
them
a
where
no.
like I'll be like, I'm not interested or whatever, and then I get a picture and they're like this big, and they're like, you missed out. What I missed out on? A yeast infection?
Yeah,
like,
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Carmen, TMI.
Carmen, I love it.
but I'm just saying, like, who's gonna
Yeah.
jump on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
you
so
know?
men, you guys
Anyway,
know that
sorry.
it's just not sexy for us. We're not turned on by them unless it's circumstantial. But okay, so gosh, we have literally we don't even have time to go over these last. Does a woman love a man more if he has money? Depends.
I think.
I think it depends on the drive. It's
The
not
drive.
the money; it's the drive.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of men misunderstand that.
Yeah.
We, especially when we are independent women who are doing well for ourselves, we still naturally want to be taken care of by a man. And I think that when a man is driven and he works towards whatever he's ambitious about, I think that's sexy whether
Very
he's making the
much.
money
Right.
or not.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But just to say I love you because you have more money, yeah, there's gold diggers out
Mhm.
there, but they're not in love with you. They just want stuff,
Right, they want stuff.
But those men want stuff as well. So those are relationships. But I think overall, I think it's not about the money. I think it's about the drive and the
Absolutely.
determination of a man.
Mhm.
All right. Why do women get more upset at the men, yet when they make the same mistakes, they treat as a non-issue? Okay, I think we kind of talked about that already. And why do women judge men over 40 who have never been married or have children? Why do we conform to the societal
I think
deeds?
women get
as
judged
normal.
on that too. If you're over
Oh,
40
yeah.
and not married, it's like, what's wrong with you?
I had guy like literally someone very close to me, and he knows who he is. Was like women who are 40 plus and single have issues. They're going to be batshit crazy or they're jaded, and it's
Well-
like says you 40 something years old who've never been married. Why is that a problem for us as women? What if she had a bad relationship before? What if she's married before? Just because she's single in her 40s, it
Right.
doesn't mean
Mhm.
you know. Anyway, so what do you guys think about that real
Making
quick
the
before
right
we close up?
choices. Not just jumping into it. Well, me, I jump into it.
I think
but-
there's so many different variables to
Totally.
that
Yeah.
notion.
it can be totally. So many
And
different
we
ways.
talked about this, Paula. Like
Mhm.
her husband now, this is his first marriage. I have some customers, Previca, who are friends who didn't get married till they're in their mid to late 40s, but they were doctors. They were focused on their career,
Mhm.
and they were spent a lot of time in education, so they didn't have focus on really. So now they're in their practice and they're doing their thing,
Right.
and they're
He's
finding.
ready.
So there's many different variables to this, and I think that any woman who doesn't give a man an opportunity to get to know him just because he's 40 and has never been married, they're doing themselves a disservice.
Yeah.
I think so.
I like the fact
Absolutely.
that they haven't jumped into relationships and
Right.
been married 100 times and
Mhm.
ran off and know his story first before you jump
Yeah.
to conclusions.
I think some women
Exactly.
can see it as that maybe he has a commitment issue. He doesn't want to commit.
and that could be the
But-
truth. But have the conversation
Yeah.
and get to know the person and know the reason why.
Well, I don't know. My man proposed after 3 weeks and now married after we're 3 months now. So I don't know.
I love it.
He's committed. He's in.
Mhm.
He jumped in.
All right, so we ran out of time. We really want to really tap into this, but we did run out of time. I do want to say thank you guys for watching. Again, if you like the content, if you want more of this more girls talk where there's Q&A and things like that, let us know. Don't forget to hit the subscription button. Give us a thumbs up. Kwan, thank you for
Thank you,
enduring
Kwan.
this
Yes, thank you,
conversation
Kwan.
today. And until next time, thank you for watching The Mindsetters. Ciao.